2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Let's talk about masculinity and femininity.
Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery Podcast with the Therapy Brothers.
We're brothers, we're therapists, and we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Brannon, this is a topic we hit all the time, but it's going to be another good one today because I'm supposed to say that, right? Yeah. But this is one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, it's just us today. Before we get into it, I just wanted to take a minute and we had you and I were at a funeral this weekend for a cousin of ours, and while I was at the funeral this weekend, I just was overcome with a feeling of gratitude for mom's side of the family, for the Harris side of the family. We had a chance to kind of see some of our cousins that we don't see very often. We got a chance to all, as cousins, sing together without knowing that we were going to be singing together at the funeral.
Sounded amazing.
Right beforehand. And it didn't sound all that good, but the energy was so cool just to kind of be with everybody else again. And I just wanted to throw a shout out to the whole Harris side of the family for what good people you are and for the great benefit that you provide for my life and for our life. So thank you guys.
You know, Tyler, it's interesting. Like, we're all grown adults and busy and have our own kids and stuff. And you show up to something like that, a funeral like that. And I see people who I haven't seen in far too long. Right. And it's family. Like, you love them, and you can just feel that love there with them, even though it's been a while. You know, I probably should have texted some of them recently or made a phone call, and I haven't, but I still saw them, and I just felt that love for them. So I echo what you're saying. It was good to see everybody.
Yeah. I just one little quick story that I thought was funny. I was talking to one of our family members, and they were telling me about how they listen to the podcast and how they get a lot out of it, even though they don't necessarily struggle with like being in recovery. And then the thing that he said that I thought was the funniest, he's like, yeah, you remember when you guys were like little boys? I hated you guys. You were punks. You know? And he's like, and now I'm sitting here listening to you as grown men, like helping people. And he's like, that's the biggest thing to me about the podcast is that when I know you and who you were as little boys and I see you now, it's just a testament that people can change.
I guess that's a compliment.
I said, yeah, I said, I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. We were kind of punks when we were kids.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, should we dive in here, Tyler?
Let's go, Brannon.
So I was listening to one of our past episodes. It was referenced in a thread that I'm on, and so I went back. I listened to it. It was episode 115 about No More Mr. Nice Guy and about masculinity. And as I was listening to it, there were so many things that were coming up for me in terms of things to talk about, things to discuss, and the reason why this topic, masculinity and femininity, is so important to me, or like, is because it encompasses so much. When somebody is truly in their essence, in their masculine, feminine energy, then they are in a place where they're really in alignment with God, and they're able to flow and they're able to be. And I think we work with people who have been knocked out of that so far, and they're shame screening, and they're trying to figure out who they are, and they're trying to get their worth from their partner, consume them, or they're way codependent, and really stepping into your true nature, your masculinity and your femininity is basically the opposite of that. And so I just wanted to kind of flush out even more today some of the nuances of this, what we call polarity between the masculine and the feminine. And so what do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think we probably need to there's a lot of ways that people look at these two concepts, and sometimes people get stuck in this place of an either or, like I'm either need to be all feminine or all masculine because I'm a man or a woman. And that's not necessarily what we're saying. What we're saying is more of this idea that there's an interplay between the two that is necessary. There's this kind of, it's the whole yin yang idea that you've got one moving into the other and the other moving into the other. And it's this dance that's going on. And it's learning how to grow into and accept exactly, who we are, and then live from that place, rather than all of those different kinds of like performance type things that we feel like we have to do instead of just being authentic.
Yeah. One of the big problems that I see, Tyler, a lot, and I'm sure you do too, is when a man lacks masculinity and doesn't know who they are, and they're just swamped in their shame, they try to please the woman who's very feminine, and the woman is flowing and moving up and down in every which way, and the man, with a lack of masculinity and a lack of groundedness, kind of gets whiplash from trying to flow like she does, and trying to move like she is, and trying to be what she is, and it creates this really unstable, unsafe relationship, because she doesn't feel like there's solid ground there with her partner. And this is what we were talking about in episode 115, is how he's lacking that stability and strength, and trying to get it from her. But it's her job not to be that grounded, consistent thing in the relationship, right? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, in many ways, it's like I'm going to a place looking to get my answer to my masculinity, when the answer typically is going to be coming from the feminine, and it doesn't work that way. And a lot of times what you end up having, and this is it goes different ways in different relationships, is that, maybe we should back up around and actually discuss a little bit about what some of the traits are between masculine and feminine, so that people
then we can really talk about this.
the interplay between the two, right?
I think that's a good idea.
Because I want to share some examples, but I don't think it's going to make sense unless we kind of lay the groundwork of the differences between masculine and feminine energy. And what I would say to this is, it's like, as we're talking, we're going to be talking about feminine and masculine. Imagine putting it into a Venn diagram where you got this body of feminine and you've got this body of masculine, and there's this kind of overlap between the two. And it's just understanding where each of them kind of fall and lie.
Yeah. And just a side note before we really get into that, it's a really immature view of masculinity and femininity when you feel like one threatens the other. Like if we're gonna, promote masculinity, then that goes against femininity, or vice versa. And there's actually nothing further from the truth. Femininity empowers masculinity, and masculinity empowers femininity, and they support each other and help each other. And then the other thing, Tyler, men are usually more masculine. It's just how it is. And women are more feminine. But like you said earlier, it's not always the case that a person who's a man has a lot more masculinity than femininity. So you can't just think men masculine, women feminine. Masculinity and femininity is different than gender. It's more of an energy. It's more of what you bring to the table in that relationship.
Yes, the research shows that if you were to put like a normal bell curve on masculine and feminine traits, so you'd have feminine leaning towards the left side of the screen and masculine leaning towards the right side of the screen. Typically, across population, men will lean about one full standard deviation towards the masculine side, and women will lean about one full standard deviation towards the feminine side. So there's definitely some overlap between those two bell curves, but mostly by one standard deviation, the feminine women typically show more feminine traits and men show more masculine traits.
Yeah. But I do have a good friend who's a man who in his like authenticity is absolutely more feminine than he is masculine. So like that can happen. That's normal.
Yes.
But it's usually the case that men are naturally more masculine, as we know, and women are more feminine. All right. Should we get into some of the traits of masculinity and femininity?
Yes.
And then see how they work together?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to start, Tyler, with femininity?
Yeah, sure. So the feminine is it's the energy of creation. It's about movement. It's typically associated with, we look at both when we look at like the mindfulness concepts, there's the rational mind and the emotional mind. And when they come together, that's called the wise mind. Typically, femininity falls more towards that emotionally minded thing. It's focused on connection, sensuality, nurturing, tenderness. It's based off of intuition, and it tends to be really focused on experience. One
interesting thing about the feminine, I think that isn't talked about enough is we talk about strength with masculinity. But femininity has an ability to persevere through pain and to just be tough as nails. And that's a feminine trait. And I watched my wife give birth 4 times. I couldn't have done it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's actually research to back this up too. If you look at like people when people were coming across the plains to come settle new territory, very often the women were the ones who actually survived better than even the men.
Yeah.
They were known for endurance. They were known for perseverance. And that is actually a trait of the feminine.
Yeah. I think of we're both dead tired in the middle of the night and our baby's crying and our other kid just threw up in the middle of the night. And I'm trying to get up and deal with this. And I'm just like, I don't know how I can do this. And my wife's in there getting throw up on her face. She's in there just in the battle, just dealing with this thing. And I'm just like, man, I'm so grateful for her. And I'm grateful for her perseverance and her strength and her ability to just power through some of this stuff because life's hard. And that's a feminine trait to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think that's why there might be a little bit of truth to that joke that women always say about when their husband gets sick, it's like it's the end of the world. He's got a man
cold.
He's got a man cold. And that's actually plays out true in our relationship all the time. When I get sick, I get dropped and my wife just kind of like forges on through.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I'd like to highlight, and I could go on and on with femininity, but this deep kind of feeling so like spiritually, sexually, femininity is about sensuality and being in the moment and feeling something on a really deep level. And so intuition is more of a feminine trait than a masculine trait, and which is pretty amazing, pretty powerful, and pretty important, I think. So
yeah, absolutely. So then on the flip side, you have the masculine side, right? Masculine, think about strong, steady. Typically you look at it more from like that difference between emotional and rational mind. It would fall more towards the rational mind. It's focused on solutions, goal orientation. It's about like showing up with, purpose and wanting to have results. It's got the 3 P's people sometimes talk about: preside, provide, and protect. The masculine is there to provide those kinds of things. It's like that steady and strong, like energy that's masculine.
Yeah. I mean, the analogy is, the masculine is the tree and the feminine is the wind. And so when the feminine blows up against the tree, and if that tree's like flopping all over the place and, uprooting itself all the time, then it's not doing what it's supposed to. But if that tree is grounded and those roots are deep and knows who he is, and is confident and strong, then the feminine feels safe. And so, yeah, masculinity is that steadiness. It's
kind of interesting, Brannon, that over the years of our marriage, I've been learning this the hard way for a long time. There are times when my wife and I get into a discussion and she'd be very passionate about what she's sharing and her thoughts and her ideas. And I would back off because I didn't want to have any conflict. And she would say, I just want somebody to fight with me. She's basically what she's saying is, I just want a landing space for me to have my ideas and my feelings. And I want someone strong enough who can be steady enough to hold that and not buckle, not disappear, not get defensive, just show up with strength. Does that make sense?
That like, and this is what we were talking about in that episode I was talking about is, when you become Mr. Nice Guy and you're just like trying to please her and trying to make sure she's okay, and then you're flopping all over the place and she's saying, where the heck is his strength and his confidence? Does he know who he even is?
Right.
And what a lot of times the feminine will do when they feel that lack of masculinity in a relationship is they'll start to step into that masculine role.
Well, because they're looking for stability and safety and consistency. Right. And if you don't, if I'm here and she's bringing this to me, her feminine side to me, and I can hold that for her, then she feels in a weird way. Sounds really weird for our clients to wrap their heads around this, but a lot of times the best way that I can provide safety for my partner is to consistently show up with integrity of who I am, with my own ideas and my own feelings and my own thoughts. Now I can do that with empathy and understanding, but that provides safety because now it's like, whoa, like he's being consistent and he actually has his own thoughts and he's willing to handle a little bit of maybe conflict. And there's something that's admirable about that to a woman who's looking for that stability.
So let me give you an example of what this looks like. Okay. Masculinity. Let's say that, you get home from work and, it's one of the hardest days of the month for your wife. It's a difficult day. Okay. And the kids are being extremely obnoxious and annoying, and you've been at work all day and and you're walking into, you don't realize you're walking into this, okay? And you walk in and your wife tries to pick a fight and she lobs an insult your way that's extremely rude, okay? All right. So masculinity, healthy masculinity, if you look at this, we'll do a couple of things. First thing, with the confidence of knowing who he is, he will not take that personally. He will not take it personally. He'll also get honest with her about why that doesn't work for him. So, and this is the part that a lot of men don't dare to do and understand, is like, you need to have a boundary with her and show up in your strength and knowing who you are. You know, hon, when you call me that name and you yell at me like that, that doesn't work for me. But here's the awesome part too. So the wind is blowing, right? When he has those boundaries, he has that confidence, he can sit in the storm and he can say, tell me what you're feeling.
Yeah,
like, I want to hold this space. This might sound crazy to me. This might not make any sense that you're feeling all of these things like this, but I want it to make sense to me. So I want to hold space for you and understand how you're feeling. And I can be a safe place for you to just process and release emotion, as long as I'm grounded in my boundaries and knowing who I am, right? That right there is what this looks like. Does that make sense, Tyler?
Yeah, exactly. So if I walk in the door and it's one of those days my wife hurls the thing at me, I hear it and I go something along the lines of, because I don't take it personal, the fact that you just said those things to me tells me that you must have had a horrible day, or that something's really going on for you right now.
And Tyler, what if she's like, F you, don't therapize me?
Yeah, well, like, I get that all the time.
Like, yeah. Like, I don't want to hear your gibber and jabber, whatever.
Okay, yeah. And then you're going to have to, if you don't take it personally, then you say, okay, well, I just wanted to understand and I'd love to talk with you, but I'm not going to be able to do it if we stay at the tone of calling names, right? But I'd love to be
right
here.
There, Tyler, you're showing up in your strength when you're saying, honey, I love myself enough I value respect and I value myself. So that doesn't work for me.
But I love you enough that I want to be engaged here.
Exactly.
Like I'm offering the space at which we could engage in, and it would feel healthy for me, right?
Right.
I'm not running away. And where I think you get this term like toxic masculinity coming in is that instead of that, we take it personal. And then when we take it personal, we do the toxic things where we either just disappear in Stonewall, or we get defensive and we attack and we blame and we turn the tables, or we then turn around and we're like, uh-oh, and you run in and you just start hurrying, like mopping the floor. And then you're like doing everything to try to get it, like, just like, but you're not doing it because you're loving her. You're doing it because you're afraid of her.
Yes.
And any of those things, that's what I would call toxic masculinity. It's the shame screen itself that becomes the toxic masculinity in that scenario.
Yep.
Instead of showing up with empathy and boundaries based off of the integrity of knowing who I am.
Right. Tyler,
Right.
I think some of the most masculine things I've done is to let my wife cry in the shower, feeling like she hates my guts. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and not go rescue it.
Not rescue it. So I'll go down, I'll hang out with the kids, I'll help clean the house, or I'll go for a drive with the kids. And she can cry in the shower and hate my guts because I know that things are okay. I know that we're going to come back. I know we're going to work this out. And she just needs space to be mad. She needs space to be frustrated, to be sad. All of that is okay.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you return to her in the aftermath and show up steady and strong and say, hey, I'm still here.
Yes.
Like, I know you're there.
Oh, I absolutely care about your pain so much, so much so that I'm giving you space to deal with it. And then I'm here for you to process it if you want to. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have a couple examples of this, Tyler. This is interesting. So it's interesting when I run some groups, and I've talked about this before. And it's like, we can talk about courage and doing hard things and stepping into hard things. And then it's like, okay, now let's invite your wives to group. And they crumble, and it's like their wife is the most scary thing on the planet. Like so scary. And I'm thinking, You guys complain about not having trust and safety and connection in your relationship, yet you're scared of your wife.
Yeah.
If you're scared of your wife, then how are you resonating in that relationship with her? She's not feeling strength from you.
Yes.
She's feeling like you don't know who you are. And where's your masculinity?
That's right. No, you're good.
And so when we talk about Mr. Nice Guy and these weak men who are trying to get their worth from their wives and they turn their wife into their God, please validate me as good enough, as strong enough, as okay. It's the feminine's job to test the masculine. And it's the feminine's job to invalidate the masculine. And I think and hear me out on this. As a man, it's like, what? But Blvd tells a story about, the guy who gets this massive bonus at work, and it's this massive amount of money, and he goes home to his wife and he's like, hey, I made $500,000 today. And she says something like, yeah, but did you pick up the milk like I asked you to? So he's going home thinking, conquest, I've done this. And my wife's going to just like tear my clothes off and just think I am the man. I am the man. And she's like, did you get the milk?
Did you follow through on your word?
Yeah. Did you follow through on the word? Did you get the milk? Like, I know you've been like so worried about this money and it's important to you. I could care less. Right.
Yeah.
It's like my wife said to me the other day, it's like, I work hard for the family, I provide. And my wife said to me, like, you know what I realized? And she didn't realize what she was saying, but she's like, you know what I realized? I realized you don't make any of the money that we get. It all comes from God.
Well, good.
And I'm like, okay, I'll keep grinding then.
Yeah. Well, look at what she's teaching you though, from that feminine perspective. One of the feminine traits is surrender. And she's just basically taught you, hey, Brannon,
what she's saying is true.
Yeah. Get off your high horse and recognize God in your life. What a gift she offered
my
you.
Weak, immature masculinity is like, oh, heck no, I'm the man. I'm the man. Right? And it's her job to be like, oh, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And it's my job to be like, no, even if you think that I'm not, I know that I am.
Yes.
And I know who I am in the eyes of God. Right. And so therefore, on those days when you don't like me or don't want to validate me, I'm okay. Like I'm still steady.
Yes. Because you're tapping into the true source. Right. And what you were saying, like, I was thinking you could probably pick out almost any chick flick and there would be some element of this thing. But I was thinking of like A Knight's Tale where, the princess is like there and every knight is going by saying, I'll win this tournament for you. And then the main character, Heath Ledger's character, goes to her and he's like in love with her. And he's like, I will win this tournament for you. And then she looks at him. She's like, if you really love me, you will lose this tournament. And then he goes and gets obliterated for like 3 days. And then right at the end of the tournament, she goes to him and she says, if you really love me, you will win this tournament.
Yeah. Yes. She's like, dang it, you lost it? You're kidding me. I don't want you.
It's like, yeah. And then he like looks at her like, oh my gosh.
It's so confusing.
Yeah. So confusing. When in reality, I think what you're getting at, Brannon, is that we do this for each other. Like it's both. Like if we're operating from the true places of these energies, I get to invite my wife into her deeper into her femininity by creating that safe, secure space for her.
Yeah.
That allows her to be more creative, more nurturing, more tender, more loving, because it allows her that safety unlocks that creativity. Right.
Yes.
And then she gets to come and she gets to test me on the other side of things. And it's like in the Blvd's book, The Way of Superior Man, he uses this other example. Like we've talked about this before, but there's a man who's feels passionately about serving in the military and he gets called away to go on a mission and he's getting ready to get on the boat and his wife's there and she says to him, don't leave me, like stay here. Let's run away together. Let's stay together. Like, I don't want you to leave me. If he stays, she ends up resenting him because he's not a man of principle. If he goes, she's mad and angry and frustrated and emotional, but later on, she's walking around telling people how proud she is of the man because he's living according to principles that are bigger than himself.
Absolutely. Yes.
And that's really the gift that the feminine and the masculine start to offer each other. That's where the yin and the yang start to come in. Right.
Right. And that's, I like that example, Tyler. And there's a line here between, him stepping into his purpose, knowing who he is and being able to stay steady in that, even when she's trying to try to get him out of that, and him actually staying there, versus a man who is selfish, a man who is like, well, yeah, I don't care what you think. I'm going to go do what I want. That's not strong masculinity either. Right. But masculinity, and it comes back to, and same with the feminine, it comes back to really knowing and having a relationship with God, and stepping into that relationship with God first and foremost will bless your relationship with your partner so much, right?
Because what you do when you wrestle with God and you start to get your answers as to who you really are, is that once you have that conviction coming from the higher, truer source, you're less worried about what the other person thinks of you. And this is the weird paradox, which allows for deeper connection.
Yes.
Because now I get to show up in fuller authenticity, knowing exactly who I am, who's God teaching me that I am, and I'm offering all of those things that I know that I am to the relationship, instead of having my partner both ways. If my wife thinks I'm God, then she's never going to be able to be fully herself. And if I think she's God, I'll never be able to fully express all of myself to her. And once I've taken that out of the picture and I've gone to the true source, now everything I show up with is I'm offering my strength to the relationship now.
Which then helps her just take off all of the fear and open up. If you don't mind, sex is a great way to look at this. If you look how sex works, so there's a space with sex that is about lovemaking, and you think about it. If a guy, Tyler, just is trying really hard to get off, and pushing things too fast, and or wanting her to have an orgasm, so he's trying really hard to get her to have an orgasm because he wants to feel good about himself because he got her to have an orgasm. What does that do to the feminine?
It just totally totally closes up. And if you're thinking of it in terms of a rose, a rose starts to bloom and blossom, and then when the weather gets cold, it actually pulls back in. Or a tulip, same thing.
Yeah.
If it's not safe and if it's cold, then it's going to go into self-protection mode. But if it's safe, then there's room for that full expression. And so that's why people, I think a lot of times, if we're using sex as the example, if the focus becomes only on the orgasm itself, it actually usually doesn't help the relationship.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Because that's not what this is really about. It's about the ability to find experience and connection together.
Yep.
And you can see how the masculine, even physiologically, the way that we're typically wired, again, there's exceptions to all of this, but typically the masculine is geared more on a linear kind of track.
Results oriented, linear.
Yeah. By the time a man is to his climax, if he's pushing forward, it's just barely starting to get to the warming stage for the feminine.
Yeah.
And it takes that's part of the dance is that, yeah, I need to, as a man, I need to pursue my wife. I need her to know that I'm attracted to her, but I also need to do it in a way that allows space for her to feel. It's like watching all these old movies, like the whole hard to get kind of thing a little bit, where let that thing develop itself instead of forcing something to happen. It's
this really kind of paradoxical place of polarity. So there's some big words there.
Mm-hmm.
Of I am going to be present with you, and I'm going to love you, and so I'm going to just be steady and present and here with you. And I've let go of orgasm as the most important thing here. And I am okay just just in this moment with you. And that's where that's where the blossom starts to just come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And open up, because there's safety there of, you're just loving me. And a woman, I'm not a woman, Tyler, I don't know, but a woman knows when a man is actually in that place with her. And that's where she's able to surrender and release and allow that connection to happen with her partner. And I know we're kind of talking about this in a sexual way, but this happens in every way in the relationship, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, however it is, physically, like that's how that happens. And so Tyler, let's talk a little bit about this polarity. So when the masculine and the feminine are creating together and both are empowered together, it's about creation. It's powerful. There's deep intimacy. There's passion. There's a level of trust that I think some people never get to experience. But there's just this ultimate interdependency in the relationship, in terms of, you are you unto yourself and know who you are, and I am me. And in this Venn diagram place, Tyler, there's this deep connection, and it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what everybody desires and wants. And when addiction's there and shame's there and betrayal, it undermines this. It undermines being able to get there.
I think the key word here, and this is something we come back to a lot in a lot of our episodes, is that when that dance is going on, when there's that interplay of two people living fully from their integrity inside of their masculinity and their femininity, it allows for vulnerability, right? I get a chance to go deeper and deeper, like into vulnerability. I like the way Susan Johnson talks about it in Love Sense, and also in what's her Hold Me Tight. Yeah, and Hold Me Tight. She talks about this thing where when a couple finally comes together and they can understand that they're both there for one another, and that they can both basically hold space for one another, it allows for the feminine part of the energy, the language she uses, to descend into that intimacy. So once there's safety and security, then there's the ability to be more and more vulnerable. And the more vulnerability, the more, think about these things. Vulnerability is the birthplace of creation. It's the birthplace of intimacy. It's the birthplace of passion and creativity. And it's the deeper that we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable and know it's still safe, the deeper the connection in the relationship.
Yes. It's interesting because our partners are not our gods. Yet our partner and this connection and this polarity, I think there's nothing that can help you learn about God and get closer to God than that polarity, than that kind of a relationship when you can explore together. Vulnerability is a chance to explore who you are and see it better and understand who you are better. And so when you're doing this with a partner, then you're able to connect to God more, right? Am I making any sense?
I think so. You are to me. I hope it is to our listeners. But in essence, part of what I think you're saying is that when we have a relationship that's working in this dance that we're talking about, I now get to be two things to my wife, and she gets to be two things to me. One is I get to be a landing space for her to be vulnerable, to learn about herself, to continue to develop her ideas. And I also get to be a mirror for her. In essence, I get to let God work through me and let her see the things that she might be wanting to change or work on, and vice versa. And she gets to do that for me. So,
right.
So if I come home and I say, I had this thing happen at UPS. I work UPS in the mornings sometimes, and I've kind of lost it. People say you go postal sometimes. Well, I went parcel because, and I just kind of lost it. And I came home and I was so frustrated and so mad. And I wanted to be so justified in everything that I had said and done. I think I never swear that much, but I dropped the F-bomb like 10 times. Like, it was bad. And I came home and I was like, hey babe, like I'm like almost in tears. And she's like, what's wrong? Like, tell me what's happening. And I'm like, I need you to sit down and listen to me for a second. And I started talking and she started to correct me. And I said, just a minute, like, I just need you to listen. And so she listened for a second. And then she put her arms around me. Here's the feminine. And she gave me some nurturing and she hugged me and she said, hey, Tyler, everybody makes mistakes. It's okay. I love you. And I felt so good just to be like, oh, I got a safe spot in my wife. And then after she did that, she turned to me and she looked me in the eyes and she's like, there's a couple of things you need to understand, right? She's like, number one, the way you treated those people wasn't right. Like you need to go make amends to them, right? And then she basically what she gave me was both is a safe landing spot, but then also that mirror to say,
some reflection.
Hey, Tyler, what are you going to do about this? Like you need to go make this right. And boy, I'm so grateful that she was willing to play her part there. Or if I come home like with this amazing idea about some new business idea that I've got, and I'm so pumped about it, and I go and I start talking to her about it. She goes, that sounds really awesome, but what about this and this and this and this? It's the whole get the milk thing again. I'm like, oh, yeah, we'd have to figure that all out. Like, thanks, like, thanks for shooting my horse,
Right.
But in a sense, it's like, thank goodness she's there, because otherwise I'd be walking myself off of a cliff every other day.
Right. Right. So, I think, Tyler, like, let's say, and I know we got to wrap this up, but let's say I'm like connected to my wife. We're talking, we're laughing. I'm like doing the dishes, and out of the corner of my eye, I'm like looking to see if she can see me doing them. Like, see, look what a good guy I am. Like, playing with the kids. I'm looking up at her like, do you see me playing with the kids? Like, and then I'm like, we're hopping into bed and it's like, oh man, we're going to have sex tonight. I know it. And because she saw me do the dishes, she saw me do this and that and all this stuff. And like 2 minutes after we lay down, she's snoring. And there's a couple things here. Like, in the first place, when you're doing all those things because you're trying to get validation, then you're undermining the polarity and the connection there. Secondly, the real strength is found in that moment where you might have this expectation, the expectation's not met, and you're okay. Mm-hmm. She's really tired. She had a long day. And in the morning, you can give her a hug and tell her how much you love her, honestly, authentically, of like, hey, like, I love you. And I love you, whether we have sex last night or not, like, I'm here and I see you and I love you. I guess the point I'm trying to make, Tyler, is, and this goes both ways with masculine and feminine. Whenever we're trying to use our partner for our selfish needs to be met, then we're not showing up in these energies, and it's something completely different. And when we're able to love them for right where they're at and love ourselves for right where we're at, then this energy comes in, it creates this polarity, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Brannon. Hopefully this is helpful and interesting for our listeners. If this is probably eliciting a lot of different questions and thoughts, we hope that that's the case. We'd love to have more discussion on it. Come on our show or go and leave us a review, and we'd love to respond to those types of things.
Thanks, Tyler. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great. You guys have a good day.
Okay, we'll see you.